Hello everyone, you're watching Films Talk, the special broadcast by the Sofia International Film Festival, bringing the authors of films to your house, because most often you can't get to their houses or to a movie screen. We're living in, how to put it, incredible conditions. And many people thought that film festivals were dead. Well, you are wrong. They were just postponed and they're happening right now. The Sofia International Film Festival returns with an amazing program, both online and open air, as well as in the most beloved cinema house here in Sofia, Cinema House. Today we're going to present a very, very curious film, Those Who Remained, by Hungarian director Barnabas Tot. Hi, Barnabas, how are you?
Hi, Stefan. I'm fine. I'm great. I hope you are fine too.
Yes, indeed. It's great that we are both at home. Are you at home? Actually, where are you?
I'm at our weekend house by the Lake Balaton in southwestern Hungary.
Oh, that's awesome. I believe that this is the best place to spend the summer in Hungary, isn't it?
It's great. It's been 40 years that I spend my summers here. It used to be my parents', or it's still actually my parents' house, but now I am a parent as well. So I have 3 little children and my wife is shopping. So anytime anybody can appear behind me at the door, but I hope they will be silent.
Well, it's lovely when interviews get really personal, and I'm very curious about your person as well, because you're an interesting case of a film director. First of all, you started as an actor, you did quite a lot of short films, you also worked a lot in television, until finally you made your first feature film, Those Who Remained. I mean, this is something that happens to a lot of European directors, but still, how did that work for you?
Yes, I have to make a slight correction, because Those Who Remained is actually the second feature film. I made one 10 years ago, but I made so many shorts before and after that it's kind of invisible even in my IMDb. And it was not a big success, I have to admit. I made it, yeah, as I said, 10 years ago. But before my first feature, I made maybe 10 shorts, and then after the first, I had to wait another 10 years. And I was making short films all the time, or TV series, or documentaries, or theater actually. And now last year, or now it's almost 2 years ago, I was able to direct and partly produce and write my second feature, Those Who Remain.
Well, I have to say that it's great that it's on top of your IMDb profile, because it's quite a success. Actually, this is your second film to be shortlisted for the Oscars, for the American Film Academy Awards, after Shushotage, your short film that was shortlisted, and now Those Who Remained. So it's quite a success. Congratulations. What does really inspire you to make these stories? Because both of them are quite interesting.
Yes, it's always a different story, the source of inspiration. Often, I mean, in most cases, I write my own stuff. For shorts, it's always the case. It's an idea, it can be an article, it can be a moment on the subway, anything, or partly maybe even from my own life, or things that I read or I hear, anecdotes or urban legends. For instance, in the case of Shushotage, which is the story of 2 conference interpreters, I was in a conference and I was watching these booths when the translators are working, and I was imagining how many people listen them, and maybe they realize only one listens a small language such as Hungarian, and then it's an intimate channel through the microphone and the earphone. So and then it came a romantic drama, a short film, and that was shortlisted for the Oscars, as you say. For Those Who Remained, it's a different story. It's a more complex and longer story, and it's not funny, or there is very little humor in it. Although my style is often humor. I like dramedies, I like comedies, but Those Who Remained was a very touching story. It's a novel, it's a book written by a lady. She's about 70 now, a Hungarian lady. She's a psychologist. That's her only fictional book so far. It's partly based on her family's story. And I was so touched by the dialogues, by these 2 wonderful characters, the doctor and the teenage girl, that I thought it would be a wonderful movie one day. And I started to apply here, there, it was rejected, and then finally the Hungarian public TV, the Media Council, supported it. So it became a movie.
Well, I have to say that being a story about the Second World War and dealing with the Holocaust, it sets a pattern because successful Hungarian films from the last years tend to have a Holocaust, Second World War story. I mean, bringing it back to Son of Saul a few years ago and so on. Why do you think that this subject is recurring? What is the social motive behind it?
There might be multiple reasons. There are very rich literature material behind. I know Son of Saul is not based on a novel, but it was based on testimonies of survivors. Many Hungarian people, I mean, all Hungarians are related to Holocaust, even if they are not Jewish. They might have been standing on the other side, on the Nazi side, or maybe they had some neighbors. They had to report on some. They had to save some. They had to hide some. Everybody. So it's such a big trauma that that we keep coming back and back and back to this topic. But not only Holocaust related, also to the communist dictatorship. As we all know in this part of Europe so well, the Soviet influence. And this film, my film, is only half. It's half Holocaust. Like first half is mainly about the trauma and the loss, but the second half is shifting to this other dictatorship, which is not much brighter either, unfortunately.
Well, it's also a film about the healing power of love. So even though we talk about it as if it was a very dark picture, it's also optimistic in a way, isn't it?
Yes, I'm very happy you mentioned it, Stefan, because it's the main idea behind this movie is to show the human side, the positive side of survivors of anybody. As Zsuzsa, the writer, wrote it on the back cover of her book. She said, we've seen so many times the horrors that were committed and the criminals and the victims dying. You know, this is already like as you said, so many shows and movies, the trains, the camps, that this is something different. Not only because it deals after the Holocaust, but because it focuses on the healing procedure and of as you said, of the power of love. Really, it sounds cheesy, but if you see the movie, I hope it's dealt with delicacy.
Well, good cheese is a delicacy, so I'm sure that there is more to the way it sounds. But speaking of healing, this is a really curious subject because right in the recent years, Hungarian society, both socially and politically, has been healing in a really curious way from its recent past. Speaking about the, how should I put it, the de-victimization of the Arrow Cross Party, the different, how to say, shifts in the political opinion about this recent past. How is your film related to this process, and is it?
It's not, and it's an honest answer. I don't deal with history or politics from this side because I'm not an expert. I'm just a filmmaker or writer. Of course, I have my own opinion, but I would never like to express it on my films directly or in interviews directly. So I wanted to put, from the historical point, I wanted to put history outside of the story in a way, really literally, like out on the streets. We never see uniforms, we never see parties, we don't, it's like it focuses on persons and on the psychology of people. And about the actual situation, it's not very happy. If you read the news, it's like we have tendency to shift to this popular, illiberal side of the world here in Hungary right now. But I hope it will change back as fast as it's shifting now for me to the wrong side.
We all hope for the best for all parts of the world that are right now shifting towards easy answers and solutions to complex problems.
And fake news, which is one of the biggest threat.
And especially in the way fake news are manufactured. Speaking of perception, how is there a difference in the way your film is perceived in Hungary and the way it is perceived in the rest of the world?
Yes, there are some nuances that are either untranslatable, either not known culturally outside, like names or food or I don't know. So if I show some secret police shadow outside the window, everybody knows which kind of secret police, which kind of prison they were taken to, why they were taken to, who is a a housekeeper with the big keys, like the spy. We know this. It's in our blood, in our veins. Maybe not necessarily mine, but my parents or my grandparents. They were living in this constant paranoia. If I show this film in the United States, which I had on many occasions opportunity to do so, even on Jewish content film festivals, they might not know exactly what the late 40s, early 50s were about. But as I said, it deals with more universal issues. I mean, this film is completely understandable outside of the Hungarian context as well, because it focuses on general and universal feelings like caring and loss and love.
Yep, every good story is a universal story as well, whatever you do to it, regardless how you feel about it. Speaking of feelings in the way we perceive the past, because this is a very important subject right now, given the social processes in the USA and the rest of Europe and so on, dealing with the past and the way it is represented. How do you feel about this very curious museum in Budapest, the House of Terror? Because this is a great subject. It's a sensorial experience of the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s in Hungary. It is a thing that hasn't happened in any other Eastern European country. The possibility to sensorially experience dictatorship, secret police, surveillance, touch it, play with it. Is this a good way to express history, or is it just a replicant for something that is actually being forgotten and remodeled as entertainment?
I think it's a good solution. I've been to that house many times, and I've taken the young actress who plays Clara to the House of Terror. She'd never been there. She was at last year of high school when the shooting was taking place. So she was quite young, and even she studied history, obviously. She didn't know the details and the depths and and all the horrors. And that is a great house. Have you been there, Stefan, before?
Yes, of course, yeah.
I really recommend to anybody who visits Budapest to go there, because it's very, very well made. It's the actual location of the prison and the torture place of the secret police of both sides, the arrow cross in the 40s and the communists in the 50s. So, and it's a great audiovisual experience with nice decoration and everything. So I think it's great to, every generation forgets what happened in the previous one, or the next generation forgets what happened 2 generations before. So we have to keep reminding. And if the tools are a bit cheap, I wouldn't say cheap, but spectacular and easy to digest, I don't mind. Schindler's List, I like that movie, but it's a cheesy Hollywood movie, which is like a fairy tale. But still, it affects me, it touches me, because I know that what was behind. And if you grab someone's attention through a story, through a museum, and he or she opens Wikipedia afterwards, or the history book, and reads about it, then he can know what was really going on. So it's like catching interest, raising interest, not showing and telling everything as it was, because it's not our job as an artist or a museum maker. It's for the historians.
And what is your job as an artist, as a film director?
Tell stories which affect people, which touches people, which gives them some takeaway that they can think about the next week or next month, or even maybe years before if you are lucky, and makes their life a bit richer and makes them feel good about being a human person and gives them hope.
Well, I think that this is also a great invitation for Bulgarian audiences to come and see your film, Those Who Remained. I wish the most of success and recognition both to the film and to you in your future. I'm sure that there are many films and also other projects cooking up right now. Thank you, Barnabas, for this interview.
Thanks, Stefan.
And so enjoy this film and also all other films and interviews here at Filmstock, the Sofia International Film Festival program, bringing film authors to your house for free.